after signing the enrolled bill of MIFBL, what is now the status of that bill?
Siguro maganda siguro, let me clear lang the air on allegations of tampering. Maganda siguro, wala pang masyado na bibigay ng maganda at klarong explanation dito. Okay. Unang-una, there's no such thing as tampering. There was never a plan to tamper. There was no sinister move to tamper the measure. There was no tampering that took place. We just want to put on record that we just reflected the true intention. Let me repeat. The true intention of the provisions as reflected on the transcript of records. Okay, let me repeat. We just reflected the true intention of the provisions as reflected on the transcript of records. The enrolled bill, yung pinirmahan ko na sa Washington, D.C., is the truthful reflection of the intent of the members of Congress. Diba? Yan yung intent ng majority when we approve this. A true reflection of the transcript of records. Now, may mga tanong na bakit naman na may naidagdag na tapos na po ang boxing. Sa totoo lang, let me give you the timeline of events. That evening, was it a Tuesday morning of Wednesday, 2 in the morning tayo nagtapos, di ba? Nag-third reading tayo, 2 in the morning of that Tuesday. I forget the exact date. May 31 ba yun? Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, May 31 is Wednesday morning, di ba? May 31. Nagpatawag ng meeting ang House of Representatives 11 in the morning at Manila Golf Club to meet with the legislators. Let me put on record that that was not a BICAM meeting. That was only a meeting of the members of Congress and members of the House. That was not an official BICAM meeting. We just discussed provisions there, about the provisions. And in that discussion, they said that they will adopt the Senate version. So, between 2 in the morning to 11 in the morning, that is 9 hours, wala pang tulog yung mga staff natin, wala pang tulog yung secretariat. Yung pinadala dun is a draft. It was not a final enrolled bill. It's just a draft. Now, after checking the draft, we saw that there was inconsistencies on section 50 and 51. Which I actually, to be honest about it, was an honest oversight by the staff. Okay? Honest oversight by the Secretariat and the staff of Senator Villar. Because the author, and that has been done by my staff, hindi naman ako dati palaging Senate President, na yun lang ako Senate President. I've sponsored many bills, and after we approve these bills on plenary for second and third reading, nakatutok yung staff natin para to make sure na lahat ng pina-approve natin sa floor ma-reflect doon sa bills na yon. So, dahil siguro umaga na, that's the last day of work, there was an honest oversight of our secretariat. Now, when we saw that, Senator Mark Villar sent us a letter, and the letter is with me. It is here. And the letter, and this is normal, guys, and I will present to you why it's normal in legislative processes. The letter says, this is with reference to the enrollment of Senate Bill 2020 and House Bill 6608, otherwise known as Maharlika Investment Fund of 2023, sponsored by the undersigned. Upon advice of the Legislative Department, in the interest of clarity, may we respectfully propose that the measure reflect the sense of Section 50 and Section 51 under a single section. Yan. Ginagawa po ito ng mga sponsors always, and I will show you several bills that this has happened in the past. And this is to reflect the intent. Last paragraph. This is to reflect the intent as may be gleaned upon the transcript of stenographic notes when proposed amendment to the good of the Deputy Minority Floor Leader was considered. Thank you. So the correct proceeding after that was to show or reflect the true intent of the transcript of Congress, basically, true intent of Congress, na isang provision lang. I know because I presided, di ba? In-insist ni Senator Ontiveros na gawing 20 years yung prescription period. I clearly recall, sabi ni Senator Mark Villar, hindi, 10 years lang. And he was firm. And it's here, I have the transcript records, and Senator Ontiveros just thanked him. She did not put it to a vote, she did not insist. So that was the true intent of that provision. It was an honest oversight by our staff that they did not reflect that. They thought it was two provisions. Okay. Now, so yan po ang kalalabasan dyan. There was no malice or intent or ill intent to tamper, as they're saying, or amend the measure. As long as it is not an enrolled bill, when you say subject to style, that is why when I declare subject to style on the plenary, and all the Senate presidents have done this, from Senator Drilon to Senator Soto to even Senator Coco, when they announce subject to style, that gives the secretariat, okay, the power to look at or adjust the commas, the periods, the wordings. Because when we say it on the floor, hindi naman lahat abogado, so we don't give the legal, sometimes the legal language. Pag sinabing subject to style, yung mga abogado sa legislative department natin dito, dinalagay na po nila yung the right language. It is only when it is enrolled, where before I sign, it is properly reviewed, when it is an enrolled copy. Now, on third reading, and I just want to clarify this, what the body approved on third reading was a bill with amendments introduced and adopted in plenary. There was no printed third reading copy, since this was a certified measure. And we do this, pag certified measure yan, after second reading, diretso na sa third reading. Diretso na yan, sa third reading. The certification does away with two things. The requirement to have 3 readings on a separate days, and number 2, the requirement to have a printed third reading copy before approval. Sometimes, we say, bigyan mo kami ng clean copy bago tayo mag-third reading the same day. But this case, it's not a requirement. By law or by our rules. There was no printed copy that was in its final form when we voted to approve the Maharlika version because of the lateness of the hour. It was basically 2 in the morning, right, at that time. Now, as presiding officer, I directed the secretary to take note of the amendments subject to style. So let me repeat, the enrolled bill now signed by myself, which is now in the House of Representatives, is the truthful reflection of the intent of the legislators. Yan ang totoong intention niya.